And I was also part of the team that did the rebranding. So now how do we move from Barclays after 100 years to Absa and make sure that when we land to the new brand, there's still the same excitement, name recognition, and also a sense that this brand is relevant for us. So those were 3 big projects.
You begin this journey with Absa. And about what year is this?
I love the brand and I love the people.
Yes.
Yes, and Centum too. So that's in
you
about...
You begin them concurrently, Centum and Absa?
Yes. I was on those 2 boards at the same time. It was concurrent.
Okay.
So on both of them, they're very different companies. Centum was created in 1967. It was a company that was part of our Africanization process where many small shareholders pulled together into a company that was then called ICDCI. And since then, it's been this listed company with many shareholders that's very African, even Kenya-centric, I would say, in the early days. And so it's a very indigenous and proud company, if I would put it that way. Yeah? And being part of Centum has been very, very gratifying because part of the ethos of the company, and more so even with the late Chris Kirubi, who was quite a force, as one of the big shareholders in the company, was this idea of Africans can do anything, right? So a real sense of, yes, we're going to build 2 rivers, Yes, we're going to buy this company. Yes, we're going to go to Vipingo and end up with 10,000 acres, So this sense of can do, which is something that I really believe personally, as I explained earlier, that Africans can do these things. We're not different from anybody else. But the thing is pulling together, marshalling the resources, managing stakeholders and executing with integrity and excellence so that people learn to trust you and you're able to mobilize more and more resources for whatever your goals are. So that is the Centum DNA, but it also, because of its structure, it's also very entrepreneurial and it's able to move very quickly to respond to opportunities in the market. So now the portfolio includes everything from education to... There's been some insurance. Yes, thank you. You know about this. There's a bank, there's Sidian, there's Longhorn, there's Isuzu. We also have Power in Akira. So it's quite a diverse portfolio of great companies. And the ethos there is that you take a company, you build value in the company. And because it's a portfolio focus and it's private equity, eventually you sell the asset, but you sell it at a profit. And that's where the return is generated for the shareholders. And this company has been able to do this over an extended period of time, obviously from 67, right? So that's Centum. Now on what was Barclays then, Barclays at the time that I joined, very shortly thereafter, we did a celebration of 100 years in Kenya. So it came during colonial times is when Barclays, as a UK brand came into Kenya. And from there, we went through a process of really rejuvenating it because the thing with old companies is that you have the legacy of everything we've been doing, but it's also possible for you to get into a place where you take for granted your market position. And so there's been this wonderful process of remodernizing the value proposition, the brand identity for awareness, but also relevance, right? So what is the digital proposition? How do we then really talk to Gen Zs and now Gen Alphas soon in a way that really responds to their needs and where they are? So those are the 2 boards where I say that the brands, I'm very, very proud of them. But at the same time is when we created ADMI. So these were all at about the same time. So those became the things that I was working on as a trio. And they really reflect the 3 things I really care about, right? So on one hand is investment, finance, and then the last one being the skilling. Basically the investment being in our young people who are going to be the workforce of the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, are you still on both? Are you still till today sit on those boards?
Yes. So with Absa, after 9 years, I left last year. So a very happy and proud occasion. And even through that process, actually saw through the recruitment of a new CEO.
Abdi.
Yes, so a wonderful brand and a wonderful story because Abdi started as a teller in Garissa. I don't know if you know the story.
I bumped into him I didn't bump into him. I went to an event called Connect and I watched him speak last Saturday.
Yeah.
Incredible story.
Yeah.
Abdi, if you're watching this, sir, I'd love to sit down and hear your story. I thought it was just out of this world.
Yeah.
And his personality as well.
Yes, he's a really wise leader and a very deeply experienced in the sector and beyond.
He started as a teller in Garissa.
Yes, in the branch there.
All the way worked in, of course, in different Absas across. So you, as the board, made the decision to then recruit.
Exactly. So when Sir Jeremy announced that he was leaving and was going to transition, had gotten a new opportunity, then it fell on the board to create a committee and search for a new CEO, which is a very rigorous process. But I've experienced that. I was also part of both brands, but more Absa during the COVID experience, right? So we had to make sure that we get the bank over to the other side. And how do you deal with business continuity and all the challenges that come during the pandemic? So we went through that process with a special crisis committee that worked on that. And I was also part of the team that did the rebranding. So now how do we move from Barclays after 100 years to Absa and make sure that when we land to the new brand, there's still the same excitement, name recognition, and also a sense that this brand is relevant for us. So those were 3 big projects. Very
exciting. Want us to start it from beginning. I'm trying to find out what gives you the understanding to make, first and foremost, you were doing this but also going through a personal crisis. I keep saying career is not separated from life, because in the beginning of this story I heard you say that you lost your dad during that period, and I'm sorry about that. But that's business. How are you able to still keep going despite life happening? Because life is not separate from work.
No, it's not at all. Yeah. And what a question that is, because, you know, people handle grief in different ways. And I know in the last few days I was speaking to somebody and they said, please, I am having this personal crisis, but please don't tell me to stop working. Like for me, that's a way of keeping normalcy, you know, going. Of course, I might take it a bit easier, but the idea that I'm coming to work and continuing to contribute really makes a difference in keeping everything together for me. I think for me, it was, you know, a step at a time. It was a big shock, you know, that time was so difficult for everybody, right? A very frightening time. And at the beginning, we really didn't know how it was going to play out. But it is true for me that being able to work and to continue to contribute on the boards really did make a difference for stabilizing me and keeping everything together. The fact that there's another day that will come. And then my work is also a real source of pride for everybody. It certainly was for my dad, who was very, very proud of me and my siblings and all of us. So it's never been a thing where we see that working is somehow something that is, you know, what would I say, denigrated or seen as a side thing. Yeah. So that also helped a lot. Yes, it's a vocation. Yes. Exactly. Okay. And also a way that really connects me to the legacies and contribution of my parents. In a way, I really see everything I do as continuing what they started. As I say, it's a multi-generational project, as our country is. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned ADMI. First of all, you know, that's education. Yes. You know, in essence, and you know, when we started this story, we went straight into education with your dad. Yeah. So just let's talk about the genesis of this. Were you involved? Did you acquire it later on? What does it do? Let's start it from the beginning. How did it come to be?